Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Haribhau Vaighere, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Maharaja Jivajirao Shinde Mahavidyalaya, Srigonda, District Ahmednagar. Our college is affiliated to Savitribai Phule University, Pune. In this university, the FIBSc syllabus is CBCS pattern, that is credit based choice system, and my subject is BO 112 plant morphology and anatomy. In the last lecture we have studied about morphology of the flower. We have completed that topic. After that topic we started the second topic. The name of second topic is morphology of reproductive part, and in that topic we have completed a small article that is about flower. Then function of the flower, different parts of the flower. Then the detailed structure of floral, that is androecium, gynoecium, calyx, corolla, its types, its position. We have studied about all that things. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about symmetry of the flower. Then what is meant by symmetry, and what is the symmetry of the flower or floral members? This symmetry is nothing but a arrangement of floral members. Which are the different floral members? Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, that are the floral members. An arrangement of that floral members with respect to an imagination of central axis. म्हणजे एक इमॅजिनरी सेंट्रल ॲक्सिस आपण कन्सिडर करायचा आणि त्याच्या रिलेटेड, त्याच्या रिस्पेक्टनुसार हाऊ फ्लोरल मेंबर्स दे आर अरेंज्ड, and that is called symmetry of the flower. Means arrangement of floral members with respect to the imagination of central axis. That is the main point. Then, on the basis of number, shape, size and arrangement of floral leaves in a flower determines its symmetry. How we determine the symmetry? Number of floral holes, how many number of calyx, how many number of petals or sepal, how many number of androecium, how many number of gynoecium, that is the number. Then about shape, which shape of the corolla is there, which shape of sepal is there, which type of androecium is there, that is called shape. Then about size, how many or how big the size is there of the floral leaves or floral members, and how they are arranged, that is the symmetry. And on the basis of this symmetry, flowers are described as actinomorphic and zygomorphic type. Then what is about actinomorphic? We are going to learn about actinomorphic. Now, Listen very carefully, students, dear students. Actinomorphic flower is also called as regular. It is regular or asymmetrical flower. Then, in that actinomorphic flower, each floral folds are similar in size, shape, and evenly arranged on the thalamus. They are arranged on the thalamus, and the size and shape are similar. And such flowers, when cut in any plane, such type of flower when we cut in any plane, it produces two equal halves. Listen very carefully. When we cut the flower by imaginary axis, then what will happen? It becomes two equal parts. It becomes equal parts. Such a radially symmetrical flower is called actinomorphic flower. Which are the different examples of this actinomorphic flower? You see, this is the flower of hibiscus. This is the actinomorphic flower. When we cut this flower in any plane, there should be similar or equal half part is there. That is called actinomorphic. You take the example, another example is mustard. आपण त्याला मराठीमध्ये मोहरी म्हणतो. Then third example is vinca. That is an example of actinomorphic flower. Then what about zygomorphic flower? It is also called as irregular flower. That is another name of that zygomorphic flower. In that, members of different floral whorls, they are not similar to each other. They are not similar to each other and also not evenly distributed on the thalamus. And the distribution of that floral whorls on thalamus is not evenly. And such flower can be bilaterally symmetrical and can be divided into two equal halves when passed through only one longitudinal plane through the center. When we cut that flower by imaginary axis, then such a bilateral symmetrical flower is termed as a zygomorphic flower, and that flower cannot be equally divided into two parts. That is the main point. In actinomorphic flowers, the flower can be divided into two equal parts. But in zygomorphic flower, it is not equally divided. Example, pea plant. You take an example of osima. मराठीमध्ये आपण त्याला तुळस म्हणतो. वाटाण्याचे flowers पहा. We cannot differentiate, we cannot equally divide that or equally cut that flower into two parts. Then, third is asymmetrical flowers. Actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetrical flowers. These flowers cannot be cut into equal halves along with any plane. Such flowers are called asymmetrical. कोणत्याही प्लेन त्याला कट करा, it cannot equally halves or it cannot equally divided. Example is cannot. You take any imaginary axis, you cannot differentiate that flower. That is called asymmetrical flowers are also there. Actinomorphic flowers are also present, and zygomorphic flowers are also present. Then another important article is about the insertion of floral leaves on the thalamus. Insertion of floral leaves on the thalamus. Then, what about this insertion, or what is the main arrangement of the floral whorls on the thalamus? How they are arranged? And on the basis of that arrangement of the floral leaves, the flowers are again divided into three different types. On the basis of or the mode of insertion of sepals, petals and stamens with respect to gynosia show some variations, and it depends mainly on relative position of these folds, and on the basis of that the flowers are divided into different. First is the hypogynous flower. What happens in hypogynous? Which are different conditions in hypogynous flowers? In some flowers, the thalamus is solar. Thalamus is solar. It is conical. It is elongated. Sometimes it is convex or concave. Normally, in these flowers, ovary is placed on the topmost position. Dear students, see this diagram. The ovaries that are present on the topmost position, and other floral leaves, that is calyx, that is called sepal, that is corolla, that is called petals, it is androecium, that is stamens, and gynoecium is on the topmost position. Then normally in these flowers, ovary is placed on the topmost of the thalamus. This is the topmost position of the thalamus, and calyx, corolla and androecium are inserted below the gynoecium. This is the gynoecium, and this is the below part. This is the below. Means other parts they are below, and gynoecium is on the topmost position, and this type of conditions when we found in the flower, that type of flower is called a hypogynous flower. Then, in other words, ovary occupies the topmost position on thalamus. Topmost, वरच्या बाजूला. बाकीचे floral whorls खाली. Ovary वरती, बाकीचे खाली. And thus, and therefore, the ovary is said to be the superior, and the flower is called hypogynous. And there are in this hibiscus, the same position is there. Ovary is the superior, and other floral part that is below. This is the calyx, that is also below the ovary. Sepals are also from the beard, and petals are also comes from the base or the lower position of the ovary. This is the type of flower is called hypogynous flower. And next is a perigynous condition. When we see or when we observe this diagram, at that time we can found that this is a cup-shaped thalamus. It looks like a cup, therefore it is called a cup-shaped thalamus. Then this is the sepals, this is a petal, that are the stamens, and these are the arrangement of or insertion of the floral holes on the thalamus. And this position shows that the flower, the thalamus is flat or concave. On the margin of the rim of the thalamus, it bears. On the margin of the rim, this is the margin of the thalamus, and on that margin stamens, and that are the ovaries or gynoecium that are present inside. And the gynoecium is placed at the center of a cup-shaped thalamus. You see and observe this very carefully. The gynoecium that are present in the center or cup-shaped thalamus. And thus, all four floral folds are inserted almost at the same level. The flowers which show such arrangement are referred as a perigynous condition or perigynous flower. And such flower ovary are semi-inferior. That ovary is called semi-inferior. Inferior means below or half superior. It is not top superior, it is half superior and half inferior. Example is the rose, cassia, begonia. That are the different examples of this epigynous flower, perigynous flower, sorry. And the next is the epigynous flower. This is the structure of the epigynous flower. And you take an example of sunflower in front of you. You take an example of tuberose, gulchadi. Then you take a flower of the strawberry, ixora. That flowers, the ovary, we have not easily identified by our eye, and we are always confused. Where is ovary? And in such flowers, the thalamus is deeply concave or cup-shaped. This is the thalamus. It is concave or cup-shaped, and the margin of thalamus grows upward. This is the margin of the thalamus grows upward, which completely closes the ovary. It also closes the ovary. See there, dear students, observe here. It closes the ovary, and the calyx, corolla, and androecium are placed above the ovary. This is the sepal, that is calyx. This is corolla, that is called petals. This is a stamina, that is androecium. They are placed above the ovary. The ovary, and it placed above the ovary. And thus, the ovary is said to be inferior, and the flower is called epigynous. This ovary is called inferior. It is totally below. Hypogynous condition में क्या होता है? Ovary is in the topmost position. In epigynous condition, ovary is inferior. यहाँ superior ovary, inferior ovary. And what happens in epigynous, perigynous condition? The ovary is in cup-shaped structure of the thalamus. And the example of this epigynous flower is sunflower, tuberose, strawberry, and ixora. Then, Merus condition is another article in this topic. And what is the Merus condition? It refers to the number of parts present in the flower. Example, in trimerous flower, the parts of each kind of series are in 3, while in tetramerous it is in 4, while in pentamerous it is having 5, and such part of each kind of series are pentamerous, hexamerous. Such Merus conditions of a flower having 3, 4 and 5 parts in each floral holes may not necessarily include by the gynosphere. Then what about calyx? We know that calyx is the outermost floral wall and it is present at the base of the thalamus. It is present at the base. We'll see. Observe this diagram. Dear students, we can understand very well the calyx is present at the base of the thalamus. And it consists of a small green leaf-like sepals. We can easily identify this is a small green leaf-like structure that is called calyx. The smallest unit of calyx is called sepal. The main function of calyx is to protect the floral hoods when the flower is in bud condition or flower or inner parts. Okay? Then calyx shows differences in size, shape and color. These sepals may be free or united. We can observe that the sepals of this hibiscus, they are united. These type of sepals are called gamosepalous condition. But in some plants, the sepals are free, that is called polysepalous. The radish is the example of polysepalous condition. In the sepals, you observe in dhotra also. See the flower of dhotra, the sepals they are united and tubular structure is formed. Then in some plants, the calyx may be tuberculate, example dhotra. Or in some plant it is bell-shaped, Habenthus. Or you take an example of Belanites. You take an example of Osima, Tulas, Marathi मध्ये म्हणतो. And on the basis of that duration of sepals in flower, the calyx is again divided into different parts. On the basis of their duration, how many times the calyx that are attached to the flowers. How many types or which are different terminology used to explain that term. First is a caducus. What is caducus? Sepals are falls down when as soon as flower open. जेव्हा flower open होतो त्यावेळेस calyx काय होतो? Sepals falls down. Then it is known as a caducus. असं होतं caducus condition मध्ये flower open झालं की calyx पळून जातो. आर्चिबोर्ड बिलायत म्हणतो आपण त्याला. बिलायतामध्ये होतं तसं. आर्चिबोर्ड मॅक्झिकॅना, then poppy, that is an example of caducus sepals. Then what about deciduous condition? Another terminology is deciduous. Then what happened in deciduous condition? The sepals remain attached to the flower and fall off with petals after fertilization. ज्याचं काम झालं, fertilization झालं, it falls down. That is called deciduous. Deciduous calyx. The mustard, that is mohri, is the best example of this deciduous type of sepals. Then there are some persistent sepals or calyx. Persistent, permanent, कायम attached, सतत त्याला चिटकून राहिलेले. The sepals remain attached to fruit. The best example is the tomato, brinjal, wange. Persistent calyx are of two types. That calyx are again divided into two types. Persistent calyx also divided into two types. First is acrescent persistent calyx. What happened or what is the conditions in this acrescent calyx? The calyx is not only persistent, but it also grows in size along with the fruit. Fruit बरोबर त्याची पण size वाढते. That is called acrescent. Example is Withania. Withania somnifera, we know that the medicinal plant. When we observe the calyx of that, then that Withania, the condition, it shows persistent acrescent calyx. Then what about macryscent? The calyx is persistent but shrivel or drifts up. Example, Peru, Gawa, then Dalin, Punica. That are the example of this macryscent calyx. Then which are the modifications of calyx? We can, in the next video, we will learn about the modifications of calyx.